Welcome to Echoes of the Silk Road, a place where mystery, legend, and the unknown intertwine. From chilling encounters to forgotten folklore, every story is a step deeper into the shadows of history and imagination. If you enjoy unraveling the eerie and unexplained, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And now, let's begin our journey down the Silk Road. Mile Marker Zero. A highway where the lines blur between reality and something else entirely. I've been driving this same route for years, from Texas to Nevada, across long, empty highways where the only company is the occasional road sign and the glow of truck stop neon in the distance. Night driving's my thing. Less traffic, cooler air, just me and the road. But tonight, something's wrong. I first noticed it an hour ago, just past midnight. A green reflective sign on the right-hand shoulder, Mile Marker Zero. I barely glanced at it, more focused on the straightaway ahead, but 10 minutes later, I passed it again. Mile Marker Zero. The same one. The same angle. The same damn scuff on the post. I checked my GPS, still on Route 50. The loneliest road in America. Straight shot. No detours. But that sign. I should have been 10 miles ahead, not back where I started. The radio crackled, cutting through the silence. Breaker 19, anyone out there? I reached for my CB, my voice steady. Yeah, I hear you. You driving eastbound on 50? That's right. A pause. You see the mile marker yet? I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Which one? You'll know. Static swallowed the rest. I kept driving. 20 minutes passed. The sign should be long gone. But then there it was. Mile Marker Zero. Again. I slammed the brakes. The truck lurched forward, cargo shifting. I pulled onto the shoulder, leaving the engine running. Hazard lights clicking rhythmically in the dark. I got out, walked up to the sign, ran my fingers over the reflective surface. It was real. Solid. And when I looked back at my truck, my own tire tracks were gone from the road. I turned my gaze forward, scanning the highway stretching ahead. Nothing but darkness and the distant shimmer of headlights from a car miles away. I got back in and drove. 30 minutes later, I passed it again. Mile Marker Zero. This time, I kept driving. I pushed the truck faster. 70, then 80. The road remained unchanged. No exits, no towns, just asphalt and that damn sign appearing again and again, always waiting for me. And then, up ahead, movement. Someone on the shoulder, waving. A woman. She looked out of place, dressed in jeans and a thin flannel, like she belonged in the cab of a truck, not standing alone on a deserted stretch of highway. Her hair was loose, windswept. I rolled down the window. You okay? She hesitated, then nodded. Been waiting for someone to stop. I pushed open the passenger door and she climbed in. She smelled like rain, though the night was bone dry. As I pulled back into the road, she glanced at me, her face unreadable. You've seen it, haven't you? I gripped the wheel. The mile marker? She nodded. Been stuck on this stretch longer than I can remember. I flicked a glance at her hands, dirty under the nails, like she'd been clawing at the pavement, trying to dig herself out. How long you been here? I asked. She turned to the window. Since the first time I passed it. My blood ran cold. I drove in silence. The woman didn't speak much, just watched the highway ahead as if waiting for something, and then, up ahead, the green, reflective glow. Mile marker 0. I tightened my grip on the wheel, refusing to look. I passed it without slowing down. The woman exhaled sharply. You just made it worse. I glanced at her. What? She shook her head. You're not supposed to ignore it. That's how it keeps you here. I pressed hard on the gas. The road stretched ahead, black and endless. But my gut twisted, an instinct telling me to check the rearview mirror. I did, and my stomach dropped. The truck's trailer was gone. Just empty road behind me, stretching into nothing. No cargo, no taillights, no past. I slammed the brakes. The woman looked at me with something like pity. You're starting to forget, aren't you? I opened my mouth to argue, but the words felt wrong, like I couldn't quite remember where I was hauling to, or even what I was hauling at. The radio crackled. Breaker 19, anyone out there? I reached for the CB, heart pounding. Yeah, I hear you. A pause. You driving eastbound on 50? I swallowed hard. That's right. Another silence. You see the mile marker yet? I turned my head, and outside the window glowing in the dark. Mile marker 0. Did the trucker ever exist beyond that highway? Or was he just another traveler trapped in the loop like all the others before him? The Backroad Man, a shortcut that never should have been taken, and a figure that never should have been seen. I don't usually take the back roads. Too many things can go wrong. Potholes, no gas stations, and if you break down, you're stuck waiting hours for a tow. But tonight, I was running late. Dispatch had me hauling a load through Kentucky heading west. The highway was packed and I was losing time, so I did something I never do. I let my GPS reroute me onto a side road, a 2-lane stretch winding through thick woods, barely wide enough for a rig. At first it was fine. Quiet, no other cars, just miles of trees and the occasional reflector post breaking up the darkness. About 10 minutes in, I saw him. A man standing on the shoulder. Not hitchhiking, not moving, just standing. Back turned, hands in his pockets. I barely had time to process it before I passed him. My headlight swept over his figure, broad shoulders, a dark hoodie, jeans stiff with dirt. He was facing the woods, like he'd been listening to something deep in the trees. I drove past without slowing, probably just some drifter. But a few miles later, I saw him again. Same posture, same clothes, same exact stance, and still facing away from the road. A chill crawled up my spine. This road was straight, no turns, no cut-throughs. There was no way he could have gotten ahead of me. I checked my mirrors. The road behind me was empty. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. Long drives do that sometimes. But then, 20 minutes later, there he was, standing exactly the same way. My pulse hammered. I slowed the truck this time, trying to get a better look. His stance was rigid, unnatural, like he'd been placed there instead of walking there. His hood was pulled up, head tilted ever so slightly to the side, like he was listening for something. I rolled past him at a crawl. My headlights barely touched his face before I was past him. But what I saw made my stomach drop. His mouth, it was open. Not just open, stretched, like a silent scream froze in midair. I hit the gas. I don't scare easy, but something about that man. Something was wrong. I turned up the radio. Static. I checked my phone. No signal. And when I looked at my GPS, the map was blank. No name, no distance counter, just a pulsing blue dot sitting in nothing. I kept driving, faster now. The trees pressed in on either side, branches clawing at the edges of my high beams. I checked my mirrors, half expecting to see him standing in the road behind me. But he wasn't. He was ahead of me. And this time, he was turning. I slammed the brakes. The figure in the road had shifted. He was no longer facing away. He was facing toward me, turning to me even. Slow, like something mechanical. I gripped the wheel, every instinct screaming at me to look away. But I didn't. The hood slid back. His face was wrong, stretched too long, lips pulled back too far, the mouth a black pit, open wide like a snake unhinging its jaw. In his eyes, they weren't eyes. They were just holes. I floored it. The truck roared forward, headlights flooding the figure with light, and then he was gone. Just gone. Like he'd never been there at all. The road ahead stretched into darkness. No signs, no turns, just the endless press of trees and a gnawing sense that something was following me. I didn't stop. Not until I hit the highway an hour later. Not until I saw the glow of gas station lights in the distance. Civilization finally clawing me back. When I pulled in, I was shaking. The cashier barely looked up as I grabbed a coffee and asked, casual as I could, "You ever hear anything weird about that back road?" The guy, mid-40s, smelled like menthols, just shook his head. "Back road?" he said. "Ain't no back road out that way." I frowned. "Yeah, there is. My GPS took me through it." He squinted at me. "What GPS?" I looked at my phone. And the route I'd taken, it wasn't there. Just empty space. Did the back road ever exist? Or was it just a place meant for lost travelers to wander into and never leave? Nowhere stop. An empty truck stop in the dead of night, but someone is still waiting inside. I've been on the road too long to get spooked easy. You spend enough nights driving past empty fields and long-forgotten motels. You learn not to let your mind wander. But there's one place I won't stop. Not anymore. It was 5 years ago. I was on a haul from Arizona to Kansas, trying to outrun a bad storm rolling in from the south. I'd planned to make it to Wichita before shutting down for the night. But my eyes were heavy, my stomach empty. That's when I saw it. A truck stop just ahead. No name, no big chains, just a glowing neon sign buzzing in the dark. Open 24 hours. Didn't show up on my GPS, but that wasn't weird. Some of these old stops don't. What was weird was the parking lot. Not a single car. Not one truck. Just an empty lot and a gas station lit up like it was waiting just for me. I pulled in, killed the engine, and stepped inside. The place was too clean, not in a new way, more like a museum, like no one had touched a single thing in years. Shelves stocked, coffee steaming on the burner, but no clerk behind the counter, no radio playing, just silence. I figured maybe the cashier was in the back, so I grabbed a bottle of water. a protein bar, and walked up to the register. That's when I saw him. A man, sitting in one of the booths. He was slouched forward, hands clasped, like he'd been waiting. Hoodie pulled low over his face. Something about him made my stomach tighten. I nodded at him. "Place always this dead?" Slowly, too slowly, he lifted his head. I won't lie to you. My body locked up when I saw his face. Not because it was twisted or wrong, because it was mine. He looked exactly like me. Same build, same stubble on his jaw, same damn scar above his left brow from a bar fight I barely remember. I felt my pulse hammer. "What the hell?" The man just smiled, not in a friendly way, not even in a cruel way, just knowing. And he said, in my voice, "You're late." I took a step back. My brain was screaming to move, to get out, but my legs weren't listening. The man leaned forward, his fingers tapped the table in slow, steady beats. "I've been waiting a long time," he said, "for you to catch up." I left the water, left the damn protein bar. I turned and walked out, forcing myself not to run. The second I stepped outside, the air felt different, heavier, wrong. In my truck, it wasn't where I left it. Oh, it was there, but different, dirtier, windshield cracked, like it had been sitting there for years. I checked my phone. Dead. I turned, heart pounding, and looked back through the gas station window. He was still there, sitting in the booth, watching me. But his smile was wider now, like he already knew. I wasn't leaving. I don't remember getting back in the truck. Don't remember starting it. All I know is that when I finally hit the highway again, the gas station was gone. Not boarded up, not closed, just gone. Like it had never been there at all. But my truck, it was still dirty. And my windshield, it still had the crack. Like I'd been sitting there for years, just like he said. I don't stop at nameless truck stops anymore. And if I ever see one with a glowing neon sign that says open 24 hours, I keep driving. Because next time, I don't think I'll be the one walking out. Did the trucker escape? Or did something else take his place? The echoes of the past still whisper in the dark. But for now, our journey ends here. If you've enjoyed this tale from the shadows, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss what waits beyond the veil. Until next time, tread carefully and listen closely. The road is never truly silent.